The next part of my quest was to seek out Diane Perkins, originally a child of the Commonwealth, having grown up in Sydney, Australia, now fellow and tutor at Keble College and author of numerous books on witches and fairies. Before I saw Diane, Lawrence Hughes of Footprints kindly offered to give me a tour of some literary sites in Oxford. So that's student accommodation, is it, over there?
Yes, indeed, yes, that's part of Merton College. In
Lucky
fact, that
sods.
building there, yes, that building there is where Tolkien had his rooms for many years, with a view overlooking the meadow there. This is the Alice shop. This is a rather nice little feature in Oxford. It's the actual shop itself was here in Alice's day, and she used to come and buy her sweets here.
Okay.
So it's a rather nice little old, genuine Victorian shop. It's absolutely full of everything you could possibly imagine to do with Alice in Wonderland. Well, this is the famous Eagle and Child, also known as the Bird and Baby in Oxford. That's its nickname in Oxford. This is where the Inklings met regularly for many years. The Inklings was a group of basically Oxford dons, professors and so on, featuring C.S. Lewis, Tolkien, also a writer called Charles Williams, who's a very interesting figure, and they used to meet here regularly once a week. And what they did, apart from drinking beer and singing songs in Anglo-Saxon, so I'm told, they would read extracts from their work in progress. So things like The Lord of the Rings and so on were actually first read out here in this pub.
What is it about Oxfordshire in general which attracts you as somebody who's very interested in folklore and fantasy?
Well, I think Oxford itself is so much the hometown of all fantasy lovers everywhere.
It is.
It belongs to everyone now who loves fantasy, because there
Yes.
isn't, I would argue, a single fantasy writer on earth that isn't aware that it exists. And I guess the only rival it's got is Prague, probably.
Yes.
But there's some sense in which this city is so rich in fantasy writers and in writers who are conscious of the landscape around them, from Lewis Carroll through J.R.R. Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, now Philip Pullman. I think we're looking at a world that is, as I described, a world that's where every corner and every door is imbued with meaning. And I think that's true of all of Oxfordshire, because let's not forget that Wind in the Willows and Alice in Wonderland are partly set in the Oxfordshire countryside.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
set on the Thames side. It's crucial, I think, for Oxford's meaning, because Oxford and not Cambridge has this association. So it's not just the university and the colleges.
The Thames, you mean?
Yes, something about the Thames and the meaning of the fact that the river connects Oxfordshire with London, with another big world. And also that the river has a story, and carries with it a whole range of stories and associations that grant meaning to the landscape all around it. Then you've got the Ridgeway and the White Horse, so it's actually written on the land that there were these older fantasy stories of dragons and horse gods. And it's absolutely densely layered, so you can walk from Wayland's Smithy up on the Ridgeway, which is one of my absolutely favourite places in Britain. It's a Neolithic barrow tomb.
And it's old.
It's incredibly old and utterly mysterious and strange. And you can walk from that down the hill to the White Horse, which is obviously recently maintained but also very ancient, into a lovely modern Georgian pub where they're serving traditional ale.
Yes.
And all those things are equally Englishness and equally imbued with the meaning that the past gave to them, that's still alive, that's still there, that's still available to the modern person. I think it is partly about the fact that, to an outsider like myself who grew up somewhere else, one of the really astounding things about England is how very dark it is in winter, and for how much of the 24-hour day it is dark, as opposed to summer where you have these glorious long light evenings. And that's something that most English people might associate maybe more with Scandinavia, but it's also very striking if you live here, just how different the length of day in summer and winter really are. And so naturally, you've got a mythos that opposes light to darkness. We probably always did have a mythos, even in pre-Christian times, where you've got a literal dramatization often of a battle between that winter, cold, dark, infertile, deadly, and completely dead world versus the light, life, brightness, brilliance of a summer world.
The fact that Diane can be a respected academic on a subject like witchcraft shows how far we have come in taking fantasy out of the nursery and into the mainstream, and even high